Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, hero of our times, first Indian in space and still the only Indian citizen in space. Welcome. This is a very interesting time. 35 years ago, you were our first space hero. And now we have Chandrayaan-2. It's a big moment for India.
Yeah, of course it is. You juxtapose the two, which are a bit different in the sense that one is a manned space program and Chandrayaan-2 is unmanned. But on a degree of difficulty scale, it's a lot more difficult, Chandrayaan-2, because it's autonomous. All the control systems are happening with the help of onboard intelligence, software which has been written. So, just to put it in perspective, my own flight was not atop the technology of my own country. So this is certainly a different flavor, both from a degree of difficulty standpoint as well as the content of what these missions are seeking to do.
Well, when you went to space, there must have been 2 or 3 very major moments, even before that. The first, of course, would have been that moment when you were told that Squadron Leader Rakesh Sharma, you will be the first Indian to space. Second, the moment you were in a place which was zero gravity, which would have been a first for you as well. And finally, that moment of liftoff. Tell us about them. What were they like?
As regards the announcement of who is going to go, well, both Ravish and myself, we were training. We did the exact same training, and we finished it together. And halfway through that training, the announcement was made because it was then time to train as a crew to refine crew coordination aspects. So halfway through the training, it had to be announced as to which is the main crew and which is going to be the standby crew. So of course, before that, we knew really there were enough pointers as to who is going to be as part of the main crew and who is going to be part of the standby. But this was a confirmation because that is when the announcement happened. The crews were split into 2 and we started training as a crew complement. That was the training bit. Your second question, of course, was about launch and how did one feel during the launch. It's a bit surreal in the sense that you're in that steel cylinder, and at that time, unlike the shuttle, you can't be looking out. The porthole has got a shroud on top because it is necessary to ensure that the aerodynamic profile of the launcher is as clean as it can be. So protuberances are inside and the shield is on the outside, and therefore the only inputs you're getting inside as you're strapped up is audio, tactile, vibration, noise, and you've got these CRTs in front which are giving you the state of the power plant and the environment as it exists within the capsule. But there is no view of the outside world. So, and you're perched 13 stories up. So it of course, one knew that that's how it's going to be, but to not know where you're going, that was
would have been difficult.
Discomforting. Yes.
Yes. And zero gravity. What was it like to be in zero gravity for the first time?
Well, zero gravity, it's a fun thing if you don't have to work. You know, you're a bit like Superman. You're floating all the while. If you have to move from one place to another, you just give yourself a push. but that has to be a calibrated push, because if you push too hard, you go too fast, and then you can end up at the other end, which is a metal wall, so you can end up hurting yourself. So it's a new way. You have to learn how to do it. Of course, during the simulation, during the training, we were briefly introduced to this because it's difficult to replicate zero gravity physically, that is. So they take you up in an aeroplane and do a maneuver of a pushover, nose pushover. And during the upper segment of this maneuver, conditions of zero gravity exist for about 20 seconds. So you've got an inkling of how it's going to be, but when that becomes a part of your life and you have to work through it, that takes some doing.
Yes, surely. But you spoke about your crew, and they say that when you go to space together or when you go to battle together, you bond for life. And as it is, both your crew members have passed away. And at a very young age, do you miss them?
Well, actually, both of them were slightly elder to me. But yes, they passed away a few years ago. And it's very unfortunate because during the time we were together and we trained together, the Iron Curtain was up. So things were not as, there wasn't very much of bonhomie. There was a need to know, and everything was a bit different to what it is today. Nevertheless, we were very close as families. We interacted with each other. And when I went back to Star City during celebrating the silver anniversary of my flight, it was unfortunate that both of them weren't there. So I just had to spend some time with the widows and recall the good times we had shared. Yes, it's unfortunate.
The other point, of course, was when you were in space and you were speaking with Mrs. Indira Gandhi, then Prime Minister. If you remember Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, he had said, it's a giant leap for mankind. And even today, nobody knows whether he had worked that out or he decided that is what he would say, or it was a spur of the moment thing. But when Mrs. Gandhi asked you what India is looking like, you said, Sare Jahan se acha. Is this something that was on your mind, or it just came spontaneously?
The context to this is that when I was a student, we used to sing the song all the time.
Right.
It was a de facto number 2 national anthem. Indeed, right. We sang it immediately after the national anthem. So it was, in that sense, it was top of recall. And like everybody else, when you get up into space, the first thing you do is to look out of the window and look for your country.
Right.
And both the African continent and the Indian subcontinent look beautiful from space. And you just got to see the pictures too. Well, maybe not now with half the Amazon forest going up in smoke. But otherwise, it's a beautiful country we have. We have coastlines, we have plateaus, we have deserts, we have plains, we have mountains, and we got various colors and textures, and you fly over that in a very short period. So it was just logical that it's a beautiful sight from space. But again, to be fair, that the northern latitudes, they were mostly under cloud cover. So what we were seeing was really 40 degrees, 50 degrees north, 50 degrees south. But that's about it. But in what we saw, India is superb, is beautiful.
And you said that spontaneously.
Yep.
It just came out.
Yeah.
And after which, you spoke about what it was like to have a hot meal in the space station. I mean, a hot meal in space. It's incredible. What was it like? How do you have a hot meal in space?
Well, the American troops had fresh ice cream during the Vietnam War.
Right.
So food is an important part of wellness, I would say. And whether you like it or not, space, or like Siachen, is inhospitable terrain. And so food is important. We could choose from 70 dishes, and you just pull out what you want. You had an oven on board, you heat it up, and you have a nice hot meal.
Wonderful. But in the course of your conversations after you come back, you have expressed serious concern. Of course, you just said how beautiful the Earth looks from space. But as far as what is happening in the world today, you spoke of the Amazon going up in flames. You've said that we have to look after the Earth.
Yes, indeed. In fact, not only me, all my buddies who are members of the Association of Space Explorers, they have articulated this worry, because when you go up and you look at how thin the atmospheric layer is with respect to the size of the Earth, and indeed with respect to the vastness of space, it's just that thin band of the atmosphere which is keeping us safe and away from radiation, keeping the radiation away. And of course, I think we are doing a great job in ruining the environment, which is life-giving, whether it's pollution, whether it is burning down the forests, climate changes, we are seeing what's going on, and all this fossil fuels, which is non-renewable. So our consumption patterns are not sustainable. So we have to change our ways. This is the only home we will ever have. It's all very well that we started on the exploration, but you cannot replicate beauty. Home is home, and you got to look after it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rakesh Sharma.
You're welcome.
It's always been a pleasure to speak with you.